Do you know what spirituality is? Can you define that word? Maybe you think it's church or religion, or maybe it's some kind of practices that you do, or maybe it's a connection to something. How do you define spirituality? By the end of the video, you'll realize how spirituality returns us to reality. I'm gonna walk you through how that works. Hey, welcome back to Conscious Casey. I'm Casey. Today I'm talking about spirituality and what it is and how it can help your life. When I first seeked out a spiritual life or began on the spiritual path, it was out of complete misery and suffering. I had so many thoughts happening and my life was on fire. I had lost everything, my career, my family was gone. I didn't really know how to deal with life. I'll just say that. So I was just grasping for anything. What is real? What is life? Why am I here? I'm very broken and upset, and I have lots of emotions, and my mind is crazy, and I don't know what to do. And I just knew that monks and gurus and spiritual people have a lot of peace in their life, and they're able to withstand chaos, and they're rooted deep inside themselves, and they can respond to life and take it easy, and they emit this aura of love and joy. And man, I wanted all of those things so hard, and I had to know that that was the goal, and that if I start today, that I will eventually get there. And that was almost 5 years ago. So what I've learned about spirituality is that it's a returning to ordinary. It's a returning to being a default human. It's a letting go of a lot of illusion on how you think life should be. It's letting go of a lot of thinking, analyzing. Not that we stop thinking, we just start thinking about life in a different way and start thinking about things that really matter. A lot of thought from people is useless. You could think all day, analyze things and write things out and talk to it with your friend for hours, and nothing comes of it. It just feels good to think. You're kind of addicted to thinking. When I first started, watching these kind of videos about spirituality and wisdom and meditation, they're always saying identifying, because you are identified with your mind. That's why you suffer. And I was like, what does that even mean? And what they were saying was that you think your mind is you. You think your mind is you. You think the thoughts and the personality and the self that all these thoughts have created are you. And I thought they were me. And spirituality, through a lot of practice and meditation and just seeing clearly that the thoughts are not me. The thoughts are actually just thoughts. There can be a construct of a self in the thoughts, like I am an IT guy. I am a Raiders fan. I am a Christian. I am a Hindu. Right? We create these identities and then we live up to the identities. I am codependent. I am lazy. And those thoughts and beliefs are reinforced by other thoughts and beliefs. And then we get into this autopilot mode where, like I said, we live up to our labels. We live up to the identity that we think that we are. And then that can create a lot of suffering. And because it's not the truth, really. The truth is that we're beyond the mind. The truth is that we're observers of the mind. We can see the thoughts. We observe the thoughts. Have you ever had a conversation with yourself where you're telling your mind to shut up or to think differently or something like that? That really means there's two minds there, right? There's the mind that is running on autopilot, and there's also the observer mind that's looking at what's happening, right? And we're deep down, we're just the observation. We're just the observer. So spirituality, like I said, it's like a return to the ordinary. Also, with identity, you can also develop a spiritual identity where you use spirituality to be, that's your identity, you're a spiritual person. You know, I think that a lot of people go through that phase of like, I'm not the old me anymore. You know, the football fan or the goth or the, you know, the punk rocker or whatever, you kind of like shed that. Or maybe you're just like the modern girl or guy, or the gym bro or whatever it is, you know, whatever identity that you've assumed, those kind of just fall away. And then you might go through this phase of, I'm a spiritual person now, you know, and I'm not going to describe what that means. I think everybody has an idea of what that means, and all of this is fine. You know, this is being a human being on the planet, right? We have phases, we go through things, we do things, and then later on we're like, wow, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I was like that. You know, my life has been all over the place. When I walk around, I one thing, when I'm going to judge somebody, I'm like, Casey, you used to do that. What are you talking about? You used to be like that. You know, what are you talking about? You don't have any judgment on people. You know, we're all in a state of evolution. We're all in a state of on our own path. We all have our own reality. We all have our own reality. But what I have noticed is that on the spiritual path, when you're like doing a lot of meditation and you've let go of a lot of hurt and pain and resentment, and you've kind of worked with your mind a lot, you do come to some kind of similar place in life where you just kind of see, and I'm not saying I'm enlightened or anything, because I'm definitely not. I deal with the same things that everybody else deals with like at work and bills and, you know, what am I doing with my life and stuff. But you get to a place where you're like, I I just want to be a human being. I just want to love and eat good food and have connection and not stress out about things. And I don't know. I'm still evolving, you know, so that could change next week and I could be like a ruthless railroad tycoon or something. I'll tell you what, this journey has brought me to a place of peace, and I can be as peaceful as I want to be. I'll tell you that. I have decisions now. I have choices. I'm aware of what's going on in my mind a lot more because I can set a lot of expectations for myself, and that can really make me miserable. I can make myself think I should be out here in the future, my future self now, and this valley of misery develops, and then I got to reel it all back in. I'm just in today. I can only work on now. I can only make decisions now, or I can only take action now. So if I want to get out to this other person and get here, then take the action today and stay rooted in today and use your practices of meditation and gratitude and acceptance and compassion and love to be okay today, and mindfulness. Because when we're in the present, which is a lot about what spirituality is, it's about being in the present and seeing life for as it is, not with a lot of extra labels and extra story going on. That's the falling away of illusion that spirituality can bring. The falling away of illusion, the falling away of the story. For instance, somebody looks at you and it's just a look and it doesn't have to mean anything. But our mind can say, they think I'm awesome. I'm going to go positive first. They think I'm really cool. They really must like how I look. And the opposite can happen. Why are they looking at me? Do I have something on my face? Do I look funny? Am I weird? That's the stories that the mind can create. And through spiritual practices, those stories kind of become obvious. And you're like, I'm not doing that today. I'm not playing that game, mind. I see you trying to make a story about this, and I'm not biting on it. I'm not getting hooked. That's one power of spirituality, is gaining choice over your mind and your thoughts. The other one is not being tossed around by our emotions, because it's superhuman to have emotions. It's so good to have emotions: laughing, joy, anger, sadness, grief, all the emotions. And we learn to work with the emotions, their energy in motion, and usually they're triggered by thoughts. And when we learn to work with our thoughts and we learn to identify emotions and let them come up and out, you become like fluid with life. Life just happens. Is it perfect? No. During this process, when you become aware of your thoughts and emotions, a lot of things come up and you realize you're getting triggered, and when you get triggered, the opportunity during triggering is to realize you're getting triggered and allow the thoughts and emotions to come up and out. And then when you do that and you don't go back into the cycle of reaction, you transcend the pattern. It's like a level up. You transcend the trigger. And it becomes kind of like a game. You're like, ooh, I'm getting triggered right now. Can I be with this? Can I sit with this? Can I allow the hurt, the anger, the irritation, the grief come up and not have an ill reaction to it? Not throw my keyboard across the room or yell at somebody, or, it's not a suppression either. It's not a suppression, it's an observation. Because anybody can suppress emotions, and reactions. You kind of tense up, and you get pissed off and your jaw gets tight. That's suppression. But this is a relaxation. This is I see you trigger. I see you emotion. I see you coming up. I see the story start. Why are they doing that? Oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. And you just watch it and you're just a witness to it. And, the more you do that, the more you practice that on a daily basis, the less triggers you have, the less reactionary you have. That fight or flight response gets rewired into relaxation. We just relax into the triggers, and then the triggers dissipate. I will say, with some spiritual practices, there is some amazing things that can happen, and they seem extraordinary, but they're actually our default mode of being a human being. The cultivation of energy, sexual energy, and just energy in general, chi, prana, whatever you want to call it, this cultivation of energy that becomes like a fountain of energy inside of you when you don't have all these blocks and triggers and pain points and resentments and all these things that suppress our energy. When there's a liberation of all those things and the energy is just flowing through you, it's electric, it's magnetic. You can see it in people's eyes. You can see them just lit up with life force, and that seems extraordinary because most of us are just walking around kind of like low-level depressed or suppressed, because suppression and depression are the opposite of expression. And when we can just fully express ourselves, that's the other thing, is authenticity comes out. There's no reason to hide or have a persona of who you want to be or who you have to be around people. You come back into reality and you're okay with reality and you're okay with yourself. That's the process of spirituality. It's a purification of all the shit that you've picked up your entire life. It washes you, and you don't have to live with that heaviness and those pain points and triggers anymore. It's a process. It's a process, and it all starts with waking up. It all starts with awakening, and a lot of times that is not by choice. It's by complete misery and going the wrong direction for a really long time and really living a life you don't want to live and doing things you don't want to do, and you just do them because you don't know what else to do. This is what else to do. You start on the spiritual path. You start meditating. You start with mindfulness. Because these practices deepen, and the observation of reality deepens, and the old illusions and stories fall away. Like I said, okay, now I'm repeating myself, I'm rambling. Good tea day. It's Thursday today. I'm gonna do some work. take my daughter to school. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.